Monique Barbeau is going to do us a tequila cured gravlax, that's a cured salmon, and this is her own special recipe.
Yes, a recipe that I've had for a few years, and it takes many steps, but they're all very simple. And basically, you want to start with a half side of salmon, and
Must it have its skin on?
skin has to be on, because that will help protect the salmon during the 3-day curing process. First thing you have to be aware of is the pin bones, which travel down the side of the salmon, and if you lightly roll your fingers over them, you can feel them. And depending on what you have at home, you can either use little pliers, and you just have to pull them in the same direction that they're embedded in the salmon, and they just come out very easily.
Otherwise that would make it very hard to slice, I imagine.
Exactly, and then if you miss them when you're slicing, it's very palatable either. So, and if you don't have pliers, a spoon works rather well, and what you need to do is just using the back side of the spoon and your thumb, just pull. You get kind of slippery with your...
Go out and buy suppliers, I would say.
I would say so. But it does work in case that you're ever in a bind. So once you've moved the pin bones, you're ready to start the first cure. And basically all it is 2 parts brown sugar to 1 part kosher salt. The sugar and the salt act as a way to cook the fish. So it's just a combination that extracts the moisture out of the fish and makes it the texture of a gravlax.
It doesn't give us sweet salmon.
Not particularly. You have so much acid in the second stage that it really doesn't make it at all. So you want to mix these 2 ingredients together.
2 sugar to 1 salt.
2 parts sugar by volume to 1 part salt.
Mix it with your impeccably clean bare hands.
That's right.
Yeah.
So what you want to do is make a bed of this curing mixture about a 1/4 inch thick on the base of the cookie sheet pan.
And that's plastic wrap you got there.
Yeah, a little plastic wrap, and that will add to hold the salmon in place, and also will hold the juices, because the salmon's going to extract all its moisture in the next 24 hours. So a nice bed, making sure it's long enough to hold the length of the fillet.
They do a lot of salmon curing in Seattle, don't they?
A lot of salmon, everything in Seattle, but we're very fortunate to have wonderful salmon out there, so it's fun as a chef to sort of think of new ways to cook with it. So what you want to do is you want to lay flesh side down on this 1/4 inch bed of cure, and that's going to be its home for the next 24 hours. And then you want to sort of just give it a little bit of added cure on the side, and this will just help quicken its curing process. You don't want to forget about the ends, because those need to be cured also. And sometimes the tail is a little more there. And then what you want to do is you just want to fold it up on the sides, and then the ends. And the next step is basically in the refrigerator, and you actually want to weigh it down. That will help press down the salmon, and it will also speed up the curing process. And what I do, anything that gives a flat surface, any canned goods you have that you don't need, pots and pans, and just let it
just put them right
bit of weight on there, and then right into the refrigerator, and that would be the first process of the curing.
Is it about 5 pounds you want?
5 would be sufficient. Yeah.
Of the weight.
Equal weight. That's plenty. So that's the first stage. Now the second stage, this is when you start adding flavors to make it unique. And tequila is one of the ingredients in the cure.
That's something new.
Well, yes. Instead of
tequila,
a lot of people use vodka, but I thought tequila one of my favorite drinks, so I used tequila, and it acts as a nice complement to the lime juice. About a half cup of tequila with about a half cup of lime juice.
Fresh lime juice.
Fresh lime juice. It's very important. I think you need the freshness, adds a nice element. Next, you need to zest 1 lemon and 1 orange.
And that just the colored part of the peel.
You don't want the pith. That's going to add a little bit of bitterness to anything when you're zesting. So just one of each. One of each. That gets added to your liquid ingredients.
And there you've got 1 of each in there.
Exactly. The next component you need is some coriander, about 2 teaspoons. I like to crack it myself. That way I get more of a release of its flavor. And I use a hard cutting board, and some sort of pot or saute pan acts as a nice way to crunch the coriander seeds.
That releases all the flavor.
Exactly. Add that to it. And so now you have your liquid and your rind, and the herbs I've chosen for this cure is dill, mint, and basil. And you want a couple sprigs of each. Don't worry about stems because they don't need to be picked perfectly. Some dill, some mint adds a nice sort of element to the salmon, and some basil. And what you want to do is sort of roughly chop.
That's just kind of a little handful of each.
Exactly. So after you've chopped, you can add that to your liquid and mix it all around. Now this is all the components that are going to flavor your salmon. So after 24 hours of the first cure, all the juices have been released.
There's that much in it.
The salmon has gotten darker in color because it's lost all its moisture, and it's very firm to the touch. It's no longer flesh. It has a totally different texture, but not a lot of flavor. So what you can do, Julia, is just layer this clean sheet pan with some plastic wrap that will hold the juices for the next few hours.
Okay.
And you want to pour your liquid ingredients into the pan, and you kind of want to make a bed of the herbs and the rind, and then you want to put a little more of your cure on the bottom, because although it's cured enough, it needs a little bit more to release its moisture. And then once again, flesh side down, you want to lay it on the bed that you've just created of all the aromatics, and once again sort of pat the remaining sides. You don't need much cure now because it's pretty much cured. The acid of the lime and the lemon will continue to cook the salmon. So you don't want to forget the ends, of a little bit of cure on the ends. And once again, you're going to tighten it up with the plastic wrap. And this way it's in all the fresh citrus juices. Just tuck the ends up. Put that in there. You want to keep it tight. So once you finish this stage, you want to weigh it down again, and then you put it back in the fridge for 24 hours. A cured piece of salmon. Now after this process, there's a few things you want to look at. You want to just turn it over. As you can see, there's some areas where the citrus has actually sort of cooked it. It's gotten a little white on top. As long as it's firm to the touch, obviously the tail piece is going to be a little firmer because it's not as thick as the other area of the salmon. Once it's firm to the touch, it's done. What you can do is, it doesn't need to sit in any more curing liquid. It can be removed and placed on the cutting board. If you could just remove that sort of mixture there. And now you're left with the cured piece of salmon. So I like to cut off the belly piece because that's what causes the slicing to be a little more difficult. So get with that, and
I guess that can be eaten.
This is wonderful. This is one of my favorite parts of the salmon, full of the fat you can see, and it's very tasty. And then basically I always start at the tail end. I find that easier. Now you have the skin on, so as you slice, what you really want to do is, with a very sharp thin knife, thin, long strokes, and you're left, as you can see, the salmon's beautiful red. It's absolutely, I have a plate here, I can start displaying some of this. You have beautiful red salmon. And you just want to scrape the knife along the skin, and that will give you sort of a nice bias cut piece of salmon. You can tell it's cured all the way through. The texture has changed quite dramatically.
It's quite a dark red.
It's taken on quite, yeah, with the release of all its moisture, the salmon is
left. You do little slices, not great big long.
I like to, depending on what you do it, but they get longer as you get down the fish, but something like that I find is ample in size, and it's perfectly uniform, so you can do other things, you know, display it other ways.
You're going to give me a little taste, I hope.
Next slice is yours.
Okay. Just give me a itty bit. That has a different taste than the Norwegian gravlax. I know it has a slightly sweet, and it tastes cooked.
Yes.
I think here it is raw.
And we're going to be serving with a dill pancake, so it will complement that very nicely also.
I think that's delicious, Monique.
Great.
Thank you. You got an awful lot of stuff here.
But this is called mise en place, and it means that everything is in its place. So when you're at home and you have a lot of different ingredients, if you've prepped them and prepared them, cooking is simple.
This is what you all do in the restaurant.
That's correct.
And you don't get mixed up.
That's right.
Okay, so what are we going to do now?
Well, they're accompanying the salmon and the dill pancakes. We're going to make a homemade tomato creme fraiche. And it's basically just reducing tomatoes to a paste instead of buying the canned tomato paste.
No.
Especially in the summertime, it's great to use tomatoes because they're so fresh. You just want to sweat some shallots and garlic over a medium flame.
So we got about one of each.
About one of each, about a tablespoon of each. And with about 2 tablespoons of oil in the pan. And you're going to start to smell. You don't want to caramelize it, you just want it to lightly saute. And then you want to add your tomatoes. Now, tomatoes need to be peeled and de-seeded and roughly chopped. So you want to dump those in. And they have a lot of water in tomatoes, so you want to cook it slowly over medium-high heat until all the moisture is released.
I'm always interested in professional chefs using these little tiny spoons. We don't always have a great big spoon. I guess you don't have them in the kitchen.
No, they're always handy. I like the spoons. That way you can always grab them and cook with them. So, well, that's cooking down. Another component would be...
I can watch it.
You can watch it just over. There's one more ingredient that needs to go in to finish that. The creme fraiche. Very simple, a lot of different variations. You can either